A plant manager arrives early and finds another urgent shipment already late with escalating issues. Machines and people are busy, but promised delivery dates slip because work piles up everywhere. Most systems focus on local efficiency, causing each area to continue producing even when the next step is blocked. This creates excess inventory, hides the real constraint, and forces expediting instead of a stable plan. When orders ship late, customers lose trust, managers panic, and the entire operation becomes reactive. Even worse, financial results can decline while reports still show high utilization and acceptable cost ratios. A senior executive arrives and demands performance, shipments, and income, then sets an impossible deadline. The team works overtime to rescue one order, but the same chaos returns the next morning. You will learn how to define the goal, measure progress, find constraints, and improve flow systematically. This video is inspired by The Goal by Eliyahu, Goldratt, and Jeff Cox, and subscribe for practical steps on constraints, bottlenecks, and lead time. A manufacturing organization aims to generate profit, not just keep machines running or people employed. This goal becomes clear when net profit, return on investment, and cash flow increase over time. To manage daily decisions, 3 key measurements translate the goal into operations: throughput, inventory, and operational expense. Throughput refers to the rate at which the system generates money through sales, excluding unsold output. Inventory represents the money invested in items intended for sale, while operational expense is the cost to create throughput. When managers focus on production as success, inventory grows, lead times lengthen, and genuine customer demand is overlooked. A warehouse full of finished goods may appear as progress, but it indicates that money is trapped within the system. This approach shifts focus from isolated efficiencies to the few factors that enhance sales flow and reduce trapped investment. Write the 3 operational definitions in simple terms, then evaluate every policy based on its impact on these definitions. If a proposal improves one number but harms the others, consider it a warning rather than a victory. A balanced plant aims to match each resource capacity to market demand, but variability makes this impossible. The closer capacity is trimmed to exact balance, the closer the system moves toward bankruptcy. 2 forces cause this: dependent events and statistical fluctuations, which combine to accumulate delays across a sequence. Dependent events mean one step must complete before the next begins, so work cannot pass itself in line. Statistical fluctuations mean each step takes a varying time, and slow moments accumulate more than fast moments recover. A bottleneck is the resource with less capacity than demand, so its pace sets the pace for the whole system. An hour lost at a bottleneck is an hour lost for the entire system, not just one work center. That is why spending small amounts to protect bottleneck time can be rational, even when cost reports complain. Once the constraint is visible, the priority becomes keeping it fed with quality work and preventing idle gaps. Everything else should support that rhythm, because extra output from non-bottlenecks only increases inventory. The theory of constraints is a method for enhancing a system by focusing on what limits its throughput. It employs 5 steps: identify the constraint, exploit it, subordinate everything else, elevate it, and then repeat without inertia. These steps prevent scattered projects by forcing agreement on the one leverage point that controls results. They also protect the constraint from wasted time by eliminating lunch breaks, avoidable downtime, and missing materials. A plant can mark parts headed toward the constraint with red tags, while non-constraint parts carry green tags. If every upstream area treats red as absolute priority, green work can stall, and final assembly can still wait. That problem highlights the need for balance in subordination, as non-bottlenecks must also serve the shipping schedule. When priorities reflect the real drumbeat of the constraint, work in process shrinks, and due dates become credible. Choose one constraint today, and list 3 ways to exploit it. Then list 3 rules every other area must follow. If this 5-step focus feels useful, subscribe for more walkthroughs that translate constraints into daily schedules, lead time cuts, and measurable results. Total lead time is not primarily about processing, but mostly about waiting, and it can be divided into 4 elements. These elements include setup time, process time, queue time, and wait time before parts can be assembled. Setup and process times are usually small, whereas queue and wait times consume most of the elapsed time inside a plant. Bottlenecks dictate these weights as parts pile up in front of them, causing other parts to wait downstream for completion. When batch sizes are set by formulas that ignore flow, work sits longer in queues, and customers wait longer. Cutting batch sizes reduces the time to finish a batch, which in turn reduces queue and wait times and condenses lead time. Shorter lead times allow for shipping to happen sooner and enable the operation to respond faster to market changes. Greater responsiveness can attract more orders, which can increase throughput without requiring large inventories as insurance. Identify one product family and estimate its setup, process, queue, and wait times, then pinpoint which weights come from constraints. Test one controlled batch reduction and track whether lead time and late orders improve before making changes to every routing. Improvement starts by viewing operations as a system that can be understood with a few clear assumptions. This scientific approach values logic over habit and demands courage to address inconsistencies in current policies. Many plants follow common practices because they feel safe, even when these practices push inventory up and throughput down. Cost accounting and efficiency reports can reinforce habits by rewarding busy work instead of the flow customers actually buy. When a solution sounds like common sense, it may still be rejected because it violates what everyone has practiced for years. Guided questioning can break this spell, as questions expose assumptions faster than arguments and speeches. A management team can transition from a cost world to a throughput world once measurements shift in scale and meaning. That shift becomes a culture change, as decisions now aim at throughputs and lead time rather than local utilization. Treat improvement as a process, a sequence of steps, and use the next constraint as the cue for the next action. Each week, write one policy you assume is fixed, then ask what must be true for that policy to be wrong. The path to a healthier operation is not more pressure, but clearer thinking about what drives results. Making money becomes practical when goals and measurements guide daily choices, rather than panic and expediting. Start with the goal and track throughput, inventory, and operating expenses as they translate strategy into actions. Accept that a balanced plant is a trap, as dependent events and variability make delays accumulate across sequences. Identify the constraint, protect its time, and align every other area to feed it without flooding the floor. Use the 5 focusing steps to guide improvements, then repeat as soon as the constraint moves elsewhere. Reduce lead time by shrinking queues and waits, often by reducing batch sizes and avoiding rules that ignore flow. As inventory falls and shipments become reliable, stress declines, and the business gains room to pursue more sales. Pick one product line and one constraint this week, then run a small experiment that protects bottleneck time and shortens waits. For more lessons that connect constraints to throughput, inventory, and lead time, subscribe and receive new examples and tools each week.